Howdy folks, I'm finally ready to review the new SHIMANO Sensilite A. And I thought today is a good day as any, since you will all be home all day anyway. Why not I give you something to watch? First of all, let me show you the exact model I'll be reviewing because the performance and specifically the action will vary a lot from model to model. But I have here the 6'6" Ultralight, and this is a one-piece rod. And you can read the specs here: 2 to 6 pound mono and 1/32 to 3/16 ounce lure. Now, 3/16 ounce lure is, I checked, 5.3 grams. 5.3 grams in my books is a little bit outside, a little bit on top of the range of ultralight rods. I would say the correct power rating of this rod is like, I don't know, ultralight plus. Oh, the other thing, it says action fast. The action is not fast. The action is moderate, but you know the story. All manufacturers are afraid and ashamed to write moderate action. So they just put fast and extra fast, but this is an amazing moderate action rod. I'll talk more about that later. Okay, let's go through the components real quick because there is not much to talk about the components. The action and the power and the performance are more important. But we have here a cork handle. Nice cork, I would say, even though they are all pretty much the same. But okay, I already sealed this handle. I seal all of my cork handles with oil-based polyurethane. I'm not gonna go in a debate here about why I do this or is it good or bad. This is what I do. If you seal this handle like me, I think this looks like a, I don't know, like a $300 fly fishing rod handle. It looks already aged, but beautifully aged, amazing. This cork is never coming out of the holes. We have a little rubberized butt here so it doesn't chip off the bottom. Now, very important here, remember, the old Shimano Sensilite was a two-piece grip. It was the real seat here, then just blank and a butt. This one is one-piece cork, and it had to be one-piece cork. I will tell you later why, but they had no choice. Very comfortable handle. Talking about comfortable, the biggest reason it's comfortable is they put this rubberized cork inside the real seat. The real seat itself is, this is a common real seat, is reinforced graphite. It's much better, it's much more comfortable and much more rigid than the cheap metal shims that you're gonna find on rods like the Shakespeare Microlight. This is a very rigid, even though cheap, but very rigid, very solid real seat, just zero wobble. And on top of that, it is very comfortable. And the piece that they put around the blank here, this rubberized cork, creates perfect contact with the entire palm. This handle is the #1 feature of the rod. I don't know if this is good or bad, but it's extremely comfortable, extremely rigid, and in my opinion, looks better than on a $50 rod. Very happy with everything here. The other thing that I'm very happy with is the paint on the blank. Right now, I just cannot get my iPhone to show the true color of this blank. I have a lot of lights. I have like 1 million lumens of light over the blank right now, but I think my iPhone is compensating for too much light and decreasing the exposure. So with all of this light that I have, it looks dark anyway. But even though it looks dark, I think you can tell it is very beautiful blank. It's a gorgeous, like forest, dark green, shiny clear coat. And then they put these just absolutely awesome presso color, not soiree color, but presso, you know, this not orange, but the copper color of the presso. That's what they put here. It looks absolutely awesome. It's just and the handle is nice. I mean, the whole thing, look how beautiful this rod is. Looks absolutely gorgeous for $50, folks, in 2023 with all of the money printing. I mean, it looks like one sweet rig from the handle all the way to the tip. Let me just show you the first guide. These are the guides. You know, under $100, with very few exceptions, there are pretty much only two guides. Completely steel guides, like stainless steel frame and stainless steel inserts. And the other one is what you see here. Still steel frame, but inside is aluminum oxide ceramic. But unlike the prior model, at least they made it a little bit thinner. I don't know if this saves some weight, but the old guides were kind of obnoxiously fat. Just they were killing the aesthetic of the rod, and there are still some rods out there. This Daiwa Sweetfire or something, everybody is asking me. I can't stand these guides, are so fat. These guides, first of all, they're not that big. They're the perfect size, and they look a little bit thinner. Okay, they're nothing fancy, but I find the diameter of the guides appropriate. I find them properly spaced. Okay, they're nothing expensive, but I find them appropriate and satisfactory for a $50 rod. At least the color is not like on the new Daiwa Presso, they put a silver color insert, completely killed the aesthetics. At least they're all black and they don't kill the looks of the rod. I mean, look how beautiful this rod is. Can you find a better looking rod under $100? Okay. Folks, this weekend I moved from the room that was always supposed to be my son's room, which was like 12 by 13, up here on the second floor, which looks like attic, but it's a huge room. Everything is furnished, thick carpet. It's almost 800 square feet, and there is another 400 over there that I'm planning on furnishing as well. Shower, restroom, everything. This is gonna be an amazing man cave. All I have to do is decorate it a little bit, but I'm finally, for the first time in my life, gonna have enough space for all of my fishing stuff. But anyway, it's not as pretty now, but give me some time. I will paint it here. I'm gonna put some decoration. I'm gonna enjoy making this my man cave. But okay, let's talk about this rod. So, as I said already, one of the strong points of the rod is the incredible appearance. The cork is awesome, handle very comfy. The paint is, with the clear coat shiny, it's incredible. This copper accents here, it's a beautiful rod. The guides, okay, they're budget guides, but they're the right diameter. They're kind of thin and they're properly spaced, and you have enough of them. The color of the guides, it's a good looking rod. So what else? The action of the rod is another strong feature. It's a moderate action rod. it's not a fast action rod. This rod has a relatively stiff tip. That's what moderate means, okay, if you didn't watch my videos. Moderate means stiff tip. No, it's not extra fast that is stiff tip. Moderate means stiff tip, okay? So it's a moderate action rod, and on top of that, for some reason, cheap as this rod is, the recovery is pretty fast. This rod, let me show you, this rod will not wobble. Okay, it's not a $300 carbon rod, but let's say for those of you who tried the Daiwa Presso and you thought it was a little bit too soft and unstable, a little bit like a noodle, as you guys like to say, those of you who don't like noodle will like this blank. Very elastic, very strong, and very fast recovery. The only thing is the recovery is achieved not with expensive material, but with a little bit stronger blank. So as I mentioned before, this rod can cast 3/16, and I can confirm it will cast 3/16 no problem. Not just overload, it will cast 3/16 no problem. The true power of this rod is, like I mentioned, I'm repeating, is Ultralight Plus. I have Daiwa Presso Air AGS that says medium light. That is not as powerful as this blank. So if anybody wants to think of it as a light power rod, that's probably appropriate, but I also have some light power rods that are almost like a bass rod, so I don't like this kind of ratings, but to me it's kind of in between. I would say Ultralight Plus. So we got the power, we got the action. With this power, Ultralight Plus, and with this moderate action, this rod is probably the longest casting rod you can get under $100 if we're talking about 2.5 gram jigs. 2.5, 3 grams. You know what I'm talking? Kitech swim baits. In terms of long distance casting from the bank, for swim baits or drop shots or little micro bass jigs, okay, micro bass Ned rigs, stuff like this, 2 to 3 grams, this will outcast anything that I have tried under $100. Very great. Now this is not a 1 gram BG1 trout magnet casting rod. It's too much blank, it's too much power for that. 2 to 3 gram is the sweet spot. I told you the good thing about moderate action rods is that they have a sweet spot, and if you use the rod in the sweet spot, you're gonna find incredible performance and response. And for this rod it's 2, 3, you can go up to 4 grams. You will not overload this rod. So these are a lot of strengths, okay? There are a couple, unfortunately, things that, okay, you cannot get everything, but I'm just gonna say that they're not disappointments because we're talking about a $50 rod. But the old Sensilite was a twitch rod that I recommended in all of my recommendation videos. It was one of my recommendations under $100 for twitching a trout magnet. This rod could not be more different than the old Shimano Sensilite. The old Shimano Sensilite had a sharp tip and it had a very good balance, okay? This rod does not have sharp tip, and the balance is, I don't want to say bad, but it's not like the old tip. It's not like the old rod. This rod has a little bit too much weight over here. I don't know if it has too many guides. Maybe the guides are cheap and too heavy, or the blank is too thick over here, because it does have stiff tip, which I love, but it just has a little bit too much weight over here. And as a result of that, even though it doesn't wobble, it feels a little bit clumsy. You feel a little bit too much weight over there. Just the balance is, I cannot tolerate this rod for twitching. Let me give you an example. This is a 6'6" rod. If you get the Shakespeare Microlight from Walmart for 6'6", the light power, it's the same length, and it says light power, but it's probably the power is a little bit less than this rod, even though this says ultralight power. But that Shakespeare Microlight is significantly better twitch rod than this. I just tried this rod this weekend at Walmart. The Shakespeare Microlight 6'6" light power is crisper, it's better balance, it's sharper tip. If we're talking about twitching, ultralight jigs and feeling and sensitivity, go with Shakespeare Microlight. It's a $20 rod, but much better than this. Now this is better long distance casting with like a 2.5, 3 gram jig. I don't want to repeat everything. I'm not saying the $20 Microlight is better rod overall, but if we're talking about twitching a jig, the Microlight is the better rod. Okay, it's not a good twitch rod, it's a good swim bait rod. The other thing is, when I was testing this rod, originally I put the New Legalis, which is only 175 grams. I didn't like this rod with the New Legalis. It felt tip heavy again. I can fish it for swim bait, it doesn't bother me, but I put the old Legalis, 30 grams more. All of a sudden, everything snapped, boom! This rod is made for the old Legalis. If you're picking or planning what reel you're gonna put, plan for a 200 gram reel. So that's the balance. The last thing I wanna mention is, and the biggest kind of, not disappointment, because again, this is a $50 rod, folks. Already amazing rod for 50 bucks. The rod sensitivity is kind of dead, to tell you the truth, to be blunt with you. Sensitivity with nylon is probably the worst I have tried in my life. If you're gonna use this rod now for swim bait, it doesn't matter because you're reeling. The lure is moving like this. If a fish grabs it, even if the fish doesn't do nothing, you don't need to feel bite, because you're moving it, you're gonna feel it right away. But when you're twitching and you have slack, or you're hopping something on the bottom, for this kind of sensitivity applications, this rod with nylon, and I have good nylon, this is a very low stretch, a Varivas Nogales. This is expensive nylon. I couldn't feel a thing. This jig that you see right here is a 2 gram tungsten jig, folks. I kid you not. 2 gram tungsten jig. This thing on any of my high-end rods will feel like a doorbell. That's how, because it's so heavy, like dun, 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 like it's too heavy, too sensitive. This here, I could not feel it with this rod. Could not feel nothing. It's just numb. I know what's happening because I have a lot of experience, but this rod with nylon line, zero sensitivity. So I'm telling you, the still amazing rod. Just watch the video again. I said a lot of positives. You say one negative and everybody shuts down, they close the video and on to the next one. Don't discard this rod. It's amazing value for $50. It's just not for twitching or any other application related to sensitivity. If we are talking about nylon, now you can still use the rod for swim baits with nylon. I used it, you're gonna feel it's amazing. Swim bait with nylon is the perfect application for this rod. Another great application for this rod is float fishing. It has 7-foot model and 8-foot model. I would recommend even this one here, 6'6", as long as you use a slip float, which I will have amazing slip floats in April, hopefully in March, but I don't believe in March. But in April, I will have amazing slip floats. If you use it with slip float, you can use even the 6'6" for float fishing. So think about swim baits and float fishing for this rod. The other application for which the action of the rod is absolutely drop dead perfect, but sensitivity is a killer, is drop shot. This would be my dream rod for drop shotting because of the stiff tip. The stiff tip and the incredible elasticity and recovery. But the blank or the guides, I don't know, somewhere here, all of the vibration just disappears into a black hole and just nothing reaches my hand. So you are not going to feel the bottom with this rod and nylon. But if you put here something like 10-pound braid or let's say 0.15 millimeter braid, just look at what I Google it up and convert it to pounds and everything else. But if you put here 0.15 millimeter to 0.20 millimeter braid, no more than 0.20, then this can be amazing drop shot rod or jig rod, because I don't care what rod you have, how cheap it is, you put braid, you will feel everything. You put braid, you will feel everything. So this is, I think, everything. Amazing appearance, amazing long distance casting, amazing recovery, stiff tip, great for swim bait fishing around 3 gram, great for float fishing, and even for drop shot if you want to use braid. And it will be one of my recommendations from now on, under $100. This is incredibly long video, but I'm sure you have some free time today. Don't tell me you don't have some free time today, and you are probably digesting too much food anyway. So yeah, sorry for the too long video, but thank you if you watched all the way to the end, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.